What you just saw was not some lost footage from a forgotten N64 game, nor was it some indie game dev's high school project that went nowhere. No, what it actually was the very first iteration of the now 6-year-old testament to all things dwarves, bugs, and rocks, Deep Rock Galactic. If you were unaware, if you had the Steam version of the game, the devs gave us the ability to actually play the original version of the game from way back in 2018. Not only was this a really cool thing for the devs to do, but it's also something I've never seen another dev company do before, at least in my current recollection. Now, I first started playing this game well after its initial release. To be precise, I really got into it a few months before Season 1 first came out, well past its early Pioneer days. So I thought it would be fun to play a little bit of this Legacy Edition to see what the game was like in the very beginning, since I never got to experience it naturally at that time like many other people. I wanted to see what it was like, not only to see where it was at its early stage, but also to see how far the game has come and how much it has improved. And my goodness, has this game come a long way. I know a lot of people like to joke and meme that the game never gets updated, or the updates take way too long, and that the devs never try to improve it. We're getting plenty of that with the wait for Season 5 at the moment. Well, to all those people I say, play this Legacy Edition and then tell me again that they have not added anything to the game. But in all seriousness, aside from the nostalgia factor that this can help a lot of people achieve, it really is amazing to see where this game started and just how much it has changed through the years. Some things have changed drastically, while others have stayed exactly the same. So if you guys are ready, let's go down this memory lane together and talk about Deep Rock Galactic when it was at year 0, and see what has changed, what hasn't changed, and how it's become one of the most well-known video game titles in the world today.
Congratulations on signing on for Deep Rock Galactic, miner. And welcome on board. Settle in and get your bearings, then proceed to the mission selection terminal and select your first mission. We're looking forward to seeing you in action.
So as is the case with any revisiting of an old time period, especially in terms of gaming, the first question that most people have is, do the graphics still hold up? Well, as we all know, Deep Rock has always gone for a more polygonal and rough-looking art style, with practically no smooth edges and almost blocky-like art style. It's one of the main factors that allows Deep Rock to be extremely small in size compared to other games out there. A lot of people don't like the art style and feel like it's too minimal and low detail for them, but if you think this looks bad, then yeah, that looks a lot worse, I'm not gonna lie. To be honest, I am extremely glad that I started playing this game when I did, because if this was the first visuals I had seen, I'm not sure if I would have stuck around for as long as I did. It reminds me of the classic Halo 1 graphics, where everything is essentially a polygon. However, graphics are only a very small part of the equation when it comes to video games, and personally for me, it's probably the least important so long as the gameplay and other factors are done well. That being said, it is wild to see the advancements in detail and overall beauty the game has had over the years. The space rig alone shows off this incredibly well. Looking around, it's clear to see that they put a lot of time and effort into making it what it is now. The terminals were all in different locations and very bare bones. There was very little color or flair given. Heck, the forge, mineral exchange, and even the abyss bar weren't even there in the beginning. That's right, for a very long period of time, the most loyal employee the company has ever had has not been with us. I mean, there was a spot for the abyss bar to eventually be added in, so they knew that they were adding it in eventually, but it's crazy to think that something as bland, gray, and honestly boring looking as this could have been turned into the vibrant, cozy home that we have today. Graphics aside, Deep Rock Galactic has always been about the gameplay at its core, going through the caves with your favorite class and your buddies to complete the objectives and head on home to get more loot and make yourself stronger and stylish. That's the gameplay loop that we all know and love, but has it always been that way? The answer is yes, but boy was it different than what we have now. Not only are the class loadouts completely unlike what they are today, but those changes plus the general gameplay differences and quality of life decisions make going through missions a lot more intricate and in some cases a lot more difficult. Whether it being the scout's flare gun being only single shot, the engineer naturally having 2 sentries by default, the gunner not even having his energy shield but instead having another satchel charge, or just the fact that all the classes have normal frag grenades instead of their specific unique grenades that many builds revolve around. Except for the scout, he for some reason still has his IFG. There are a lot of differences that culminate in the experience being a lot to adapt to. For example, you only have 3 flares by default and you have to upgrade them to get more. That's right, you could actually upgrade your flares. Very minimally, of course, but you still had the option to improve them. Side note, Ghost Ship, please put this back in somehow. I don't know how you would do it, maybe faster regen or maybe give us more charges, just something, because it would be cool to be able to upgrade our flares again. And on the topic of upgrades, look how little there is to work with here. Each piece of gear has 2, maybe 3 upgrades that they can gain access to improve them. Definitely a far stretch from the multi-tier upgrades and weapon augmenting overclocks that we have today. Not to mention the very small weapon arsenals that each class has access to. Not a fan of the Driller's Flamethrower? Well, too bad, because it's all he has. Heck, even the cosmetic system and shop isn't nearly as fleshed out as what we have today, with certain armor and color combinations being preset without being able to interchange them. Ultimately, it was a lot of work to make your dwarf both look and play exactly how you want them to. But even despite all the changes and the different loadouts and reworks to the progression, the overall gameplay still has that authentic Deep Rock feel to it, albeit a little bit more stiff and honestly a lot harder in some cases. You're still going into the caves and doing your best against the bugs in order to get out with all your hard-earned rewards and improve yourself in any way possible. It's also interesting to see all the quality of life improvements that Ghost Ship has done over the years that you wouldn't really think about at first. For example, in modern-day Deep Rock, if you start up a mission in solo play, you will of course have Bosco with you to back you up. Now, if you choose to instead play in a public lobby, Bosco will still be with you until somebody else joins your lobby. In the old version, if you want Bosco to help you out, then you better select solo, because if you select public lobby, then regardless if somebody is with you or not, he will not be there. Or the fact that the old terrain scanner was not as useful as it is now. Heck, I know everyone likes to talk about the struggles of armor breaking, but I'm pretty sure here you can't even break armor in the first place. It's little things like that you don't really think about that you take for granted when all is said and done. I think the reason I wanted to make this video and highlight the early days of Deep Rock Galactic is so that I can appreciate what it means to put something like this together. I've always wanted to make video games for a long time growing up, but I knew that it was a huge process. When you stop and think about it, there really shouldn't have been any way that this game should have made it as far as it did, considering what it was up against. In the year 2018, this game had to compete with industry legends that had come out, like God of War, Monster Hunter World, Red Dead Redemption 2, and even Fortnite all hit the scene the same year. Even if you fast forward to 2020, when the game started to hit really high popularity, it still had to compete with titles such as Hades, Animal Crossing, Valorant, and who could forget the internet sensation Among Us? And yet with all of those titles dominating and bringing in more content creation and popularity than almost anything that came before it, Deep Rock was not only able to survive in that field, but thrive, growing to an astounding level of popularity, which today is rivaled by very few others. You almost can't go into any kind of game community without running into several Deep Rock fans. Almost every stream I watch, no matter who it is or what they are streaming, has the occasional "we're rich" or "mushroom." So how did it happen? Well, for 2 reasons, and one is significantly more powerful than the other. First, a huge factor in Deep Rock's advancement from its early days is just the devs' willingness to make and improve something that they had a lot of passion for. The drive to make something different than what was popular at the time, and that is also a proven great framework for a fun game. People love cooperative experiences, and this game came out during a time of big competitive games such as Fortnite and Valorant. So the devs had to work really hard to push their idea forward. And the biggest and most impactful thing that helped put Deep Rock Galactic where it is now are the fans. I know I say this a lot on this channel, but the Deep Rock community is genuinely one of the most pleasant and accepting communities that exists in the gaming world today. And that kindness and passion are what keep Deep Rock Galactic in a bright future overall. You could go into pretty much any community stream for almost any game in the modern era and just start spamming Rock and Stone, and I guarantee you will start a chain reaction. That is how far and wide this community is spread and how much of an impact we have had on people and games around us. Heck, because of this game and the community around it, Steam now has a dwarf tag. It's gotten to the point now where Ghost Ship devs are literally inviting content creators and people who love their games to fly out to see them so they can bond over something that they all have a passion for. That is incredible and something that everybody in this community should be proud of. The fans of Deep Rock are living proof that players want games that are not only fun, but inviting. Games that promote working together and just having a good time with their friends. And those core concepts and ideas can be seen even all the way back in their early days, even if it looks a little bit rough around the edges. Despite all of the ups and downs, the delayed releases, the questionable enemies, no one can argue that Deep Rock has come a long way from its admittedly not too impressive looking start. But thanks to the dev team, the community, and most importantly, you the players, the game now has a special place in the hearts and minds of millions of dedicated dwarves worldwide. We're only 6 years into this trip, but something tells me that we still have plenty to go. Rock and Stone, miners. I'll see you in the next video.